Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. My name is Pastor Yemi Omogboyega. God bless you as you listen to this message. And the topic is Weep Not for Nigeria. Weep not for Nigeria. Anytime I want to talk about Nigeria, I look at it from the perspective of my life, because there is no story that is better told than one's own life's story. By the special grace of God, I self-published my 90-page autobiography in the year 1991. To be precise, I started writing that book one evening on the 10th day, if I'm very correct now, 10th day of October 1991. And I worked on it for good 10 years. And I published it in 1991. Did I say I started writing it in 1991? Not 1991, 1981 October. And I self-published it in 1991. That's exactly 10 years of hard labor to produce my own life story. And I looked at my life from various perspectives, starting with the circumstances in which I was born into a poor family, had to fend for myself, to God be the glory, but born into a country that is blessed with abundance of everything. But at the point of my benefiting from it, I was deprived. Nigeria deprived me of such opportunities like free education, apart from, and thank God I had a taste of it. I just wonder what it would have been like if that opportunity had been given to me to read up to the tertiary level, because I had a free primary education. That was the best I got from this country called Nigeria. And thereafter, the opportunity was snatched away from me by Nigeria herself. Not only that, Nigeria provided no conducive environment for me to navigate my life successfully, because all the infrastructures that would have been there, like the light, like good roads, like scholarship, like name them, everything that could make a visionary somebody to accomplish in life, were deprived. I was deprived or denied of them all. However, I decided to take the bull by the horns by saying, let me make my life what I want it to be. That I must not leave this world the way I met it. I must leave it far better than I met it. Then from domestic front, it took me 36 years to recover my lost biological origin. This is enough to kill my spirit, but I remained standing because God has been with me. And that is from the domestic front. And when I'm talking of Nigeria being a place that denies everybody even the right to live, not to talk of the right to make it in life, by withdrawing everything that will make us live. For instance, how many people have we lost to road accidents as a result of bad roads? How many lives have we lost? Those lives were predestined to fulfill their destinies, but they were terminated abruptly due to mishaps on our bad roads. And many like that. I experienced my own. So stories are better told by someone who experienced them. So, having tasted that, I decided to forge ahead, praying to my God, who has been so kind as to help me this far. So I took back what belonged to me. Though, man, to start struggling in life when you are not matured to do so is a punishment. It's one of the greatest punishments you can ever think of in life. It is sad. Every time I look back, that is why I thank God I never in my life compared myself with anybody. Because if I had done that, I would be weeping all the time. Because the life I lived was a kind of a wilderness life. Because anytime I remember that, sometimes I look at the children of those who are born, the children that were born into wealthy homes, compared to the children like us who were born into poor homes. Please, I have overcome poverty. I have overcome all the challenges of my life. I'm not saying this so that you can look at me and say, look at this man from poor background. I feel for you. I pity you. Just like Dr. Akpoki will say, bust you. I am not saying what I'm saying for purpose of winning sympathy. I don't need any sympathy because I have overcome all the challenges. I have triumphed. I am a victor. I am a winner. I am a conqueror. So, like I said, if I compare the life of children that are born into wealthy homes compared with somebody like me from poor homes, I asked myself, Lord, why was I not born into a wealthy home? At least for me to enjoy something in my life. But there's what you call deferred gratification. Deferred gratification. You see, those who are born into wealthy homes, what they do is they enjoyed everything from the very beginning of their lives. The very beginning. But it does not mean that they will end well. Many of them, if not majority of them, ended badly. I thank God today that I would say I was not born into a wealthy home or with silver spoon in my mouth, because maybe I would have missed it. Most likely that I would have missed it. I'll give you an example why I said so. I have worked for 10 years. I worked in the textile industry as a laborer, 1974 to 1976. Then I worked in a construction industry. As a clerk typist I started with, or stenographer as you call it. I worked there till 1979, from 1976 to 1979. That is with Lovell Stewart Construction Company. A newly formed company then. Indeed, I was the first clerical or secretarial staff employed by that organization. Then I worked briefly in an organization, in a travel agency, that is tourism industry, for a while, very briefly. Then from there, I worked, that is Jerryman Travels Limited, used to be at Tafawa Balewa Square then. The name of my boss then was, what's his name now? Mr. Nwosu. Jerry Nwosu. Then I left there after a few months to join the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. By then, it was late Pa Timothy Adeola Odutola that was the president of that organization. And I worked directly as the personal assistant to Dr. Uma Oke Eleazu. After that, I worked with an agency, a media organization, Ogilvy, Benson and Mata at Yaba, which is just, I worked there for only 1 month and I resigned. And thereafter, I joined an international organization by divine intervention in the energy sector. And thereafter, I worked there for 24 years of my life. So if you add it all together, I worked for the first 10 years in those other organizations. I spent 24 years in this organization. That makes 34 years of my labor, that is career. So all this put together, God really favored me. Why did I say I probably would have preferred not to be born in a home, in a wealthy home? I said so that in fact, majority of those born in wealthy homes most likely did not fulfill their destiny in life because they started with luxury. They met luxury. Some of them could not even as much as understand the nitty-gritty of domestic administration, talk less of managing their lives, especially at the point they are supposed to be independent and fend for themselves. They cannot, because the circumstances they found themselves were so luxurious that they thought, unfortunately for them, that it would be going on like that. Many of them did not realize it until probably it was time for them to leave their parents and start their own lives. A child that is born into a wealthy home, unless God helps that child, he may end up as a failure. She may end up as a failure, because all the luxuries he or she is enjoying will not allow her to be exposed to the hardship of life that would propel her to become him or her to become somebody of substance in life independently, because they would think that everything will be going on the way they met it. And unfortunately, one's parents' wealth does not translate to one's wealth unless one has a vision of his own to create his own wealth and works towards it until he gets, or he or she gets there. And without being self-independent, life will end up miserably for anybody. So I experienced the hardship of life that made me to quickly develop an independent mind, to be able to take care of myself, at my latter years in life. And to God be the glory for that today. Now, I brought in the history of my experience because, let me tell you, I thank God for my life again. If not for this God, how would I have made it? Let me tell you. In the various organizations I had worked before, it was like, what do you call it in career path now? Growing through the ranks. Because I started from the very scratch everywhere. First as a laborer, we call them factory operative in textile industry, speckle mill industry, and then to a clerk or shorthand typist or stenographer, whatever we call ourselves, in Lovett Stewart Nigeria Limited, a construction company. Then from there, I started pursuing a career in secretarial studies. A career that ordinarily should never last anybody more than 10 years. I accomplished my own. I got to the zenith or the peak of that career within 10 years. And what would have been next? But to God be the glory that God gave me another vision that I should pursue other careers that led me to pursue the human resources management career, became chartered in it, then eventually becoming a lawyer. And today I am a trained lawyer. And at the same time, the legal practice itself today, in my little way, still profits me in my own little way, even at my old age, going to 70. So, to God be the glory that I started with those lower organizations. Now, if I didn't start with those lower organizations, if I had gained my first employment in the energy sector, where I finally was able to work for 24 years and retired from, that today is profiting me at my old age, I would have toyed with this organization if it was the first or the second or the third organization that I worked with. Because I wouldn't have known the implication, I wouldn't have known the difference between this smaller organization, and with the youthful exuberance that we carry about, we just wake up one day, we just say we want to work somewhere, we just say we want to change our work. Because the work in the secretarial line, it was very easy to change your work. There are advertisements there every day. And up to about that 1980, it was still easy to find a better job in the secretarial line. Even this energy sector that I worked for, it was just like that. I just called my friend one day. Mr. Tombury is still alive, to God be the glory. Mr. Makaiva Abioko Tombury is from Patani, was my closest friend, childhood friend, closest. We did the struggles together, and to God be the glory that we are alive today. I believe we're both enjoying life together. So I just called my friend. I said, "Oh, where else shall we work?" Oh, we said, I was the one that was championing the discussion. I said, banking industry, insurance industry, energy industry. Those are the three areas that I suggested. And lo and behold, we agreed. And we said, what next? Let us start sending applications to them now. And we started dishing out applications to this organization, unsolicited applications, not that they even advertised. Then there are some that advertised that were replied. But majority, in fact, the energy sector where I worked did not advertise. It was just an unsolicited application. We started dishing out our application, and our tool was the Daily Times Diary of those days that has a list of all these energy sector, insurance, banking, and other industries. We chose those three, and we dished out our stereotyped applications to them. And eventually, we got, in fact, contrary to my expectation, both of us were very keen on joining the banking industry. But eventually, somewhere along the line, my friend, Mr. Tombury, got his own with Reuters Nigeria Limited then. That the office was in Bookshop House then at CMS. But mine, I was eyeing the banking sector, while eventually God led me to the energy sector. So this is how God guides us. So after getting all this, we carried on. To God be the glory. I would say that I ended up well, not because I knew how to do it, no, but because God Himself, in His infinite mercies, guided my footsteps and took me to a land of abundance. That's what I will be. A land of sufficiency. John 10:10, part B. The Son of Man has come to give life more abundant. Let me say this, that all these things that I'm doing or saying, it is because I can confidently say it is because I attached my mind to God. I called upon Him my little way, and He always answered me. I was a Christian, in fact, from birth. Can I say from birth? From about 2 years. My Christian history dated back to about when I was 2 years, when my mother took me to a church because I was ill and God healed me. That is a testimony that is foundational to everything that I am in life. If God did not heal me that day, I wouldn't have been what I am. I wouldn't have been alive today. So, having done that, I am grateful to God. And ever since then, He has been leading me. But I did not become an adult or born I was born again when I was young, but I didn't understand the full meaning and the weight of being born again. But then, in 1977 or so, if I'm correct now, was when finally I became fully born again at the church called the Christ Gospel Church, situated at Odiolowo, Mushi, that is near Fadeyi area, that area. That was when I became full born again in the sense of understanding what one is doing religiously. So that started my independent sojourn in religion and with my relationship, personal relationship with God, because everything about this our religion is for you to develop personal relationship. It is there you begin to have your own customized messages. I'm telling you, if you are a Christian and you are a churchgoer, you are doing everything, you may be there for the rest of your life. You may not have personal relationship. Therefore, you will not have customized relationship, because it's God that manages our lives for us. He gives us direction. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. He brings us closer. He guides us. He corrects us. He instructs us. He rebukes us. He reproves us. Everything to lead us to salvation, and salvation from salvation to eternity, because the bigger picture of God's mind for us is to reign with Him till eternity. So let me brief that. And as I said, if I had gotten my last job first, I should have toyed away with it, because we just wake up and say we are going. And indeed, this last job that I work on, what was the difference between my salary from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria to that place? The difference was 12,000 naira. And that 12,000 naira was spread over 1 year. That's 1,000 naira a month. Eventually, nothing happened that was spectacular until much later, 3, 4, 5 years of my journey, that conditions of service started improving. And so I was there at the right time. The race is not for the swift, it's not for the smart. I think this is Ecclesiastes chapter 9. But being at the right place at the right time. And then you have to prepare for it. I have baked up myself very well, ready, prepared for better opportunities in life. I think that's one plus to my side, in the sense that there's never a time that I was not doing something that would take me to higher pedestal in my life. So, because of this, I was not able to toy away. It would have been like me being born with a silver spoon. I would have thrown that spoon away, because of youthful exuberances. If I had gotten that better employment at my early stage, I would just be like that child that was born into a rich home that does not know what to do with it and could not even develop a vision of being independent, talk less of doing something to become somebody of substance on his own. So that is the danger of life. Many people miss it in life because what is in their hands is not of sale value to them. Just like Elijah, and I will say, what do you have that is of sale value? The people that were born into wealthy homes, what they would have done is to make sure that they don't trust in that wealth, their parents' wealth, that they create their own wealth by taking their education very seriously and being professional, pursuing their career visions, and never resting until they become somebody who had created their own wealth by themselves. But unfortunately, not many people knew that, and that's why they missed out. By the time they missed out, they now start struggling for properties that their parents have, forgetting that no single child owns what is called family property. It has become a we property, that is, it belongs to us, not one person. And there is no portion of that property. You only own a portion. And for you to get your portion, you have to struggle. And that portion cannot make you somebody of substance unless you have built yourself to become, you are prepared to become somebody of substance. Therefore, whatever portion of that one that you got, if it is added to what you already labors for with your own hands, then you will not regret your life. Your life will be meaningful and fulfilling. But a situation whereby you are relying on your parents' wealth, and that wealth has to be shared amongst every one of you that are the children or siblings, or even larger family will take their own part of it. Whatever you get there cannot make you. It can only add to boost. And if you are the type that has vision and you know what to do with it, you can now generate more wealth from that which is your inheritance. But of course, we know what is happening in Africa. How many people really make anything out of it? They get lost. To me now, for instance, like I always say, I prefer to create my own wealth than to rely on family wealth. Now, in this area, you see, this video will be long, but maybe I'll break it into parts. So, this wealth that I'm talking about, I want to tell you a short story. Like I told you, I did not return to my father until I was 36 years. But prior to that, my brother and I were the male children, surviving children of my mother. And our father, who is now my legal father, who raised me up, and my legal father's property, that is what was the property. He owned a house of one, two, three, four. A 4-bedroom face me, I face you house in Ekiti. Then he had landed properties, and is a polygamous man, and he had about 8 children, 4 from my mother, 4 from my stepmother. So that survived. And out of the 8, none of them was educated. All of them were, on their own. The ones that are female, they were even ruled out of school. But the ones that were males, me, my brother, and my 2 brothers from my other mother, from my stepmother, none of us had formal education, except that the Lord saved me later to make my mother to have that vision that I should be educated. My own brother would have been educated, but he had no patience. So, because he did it up to primary 6, that was enough for him to take off. I had the same level of education. That was just adequate enough for me to take off and turn myself to whatever I want to become. But that's why I always say, if you have God in your life, you will have an organized life. If there's anything that made me to escape the same thing that my brother experienced, It is because I had God. It is because God was on my side and I had a personal relationship with Him, all the same, no matter how little I was, even in age, or young I was in age. So that was one thing that is the light to my path. That's all. That will make the difference. Because things I will consider important, my brother may not consider it important. Like going to school and then furthering your education. He didn't consider it important. But I, that I'm the last one, I consider it important that I was pursuing it and I ended well with it. So that is the luck I would say I have. So as for property, so that Baba has parcels of land and nobody was even pursuing land purchase then. So, but later on in life, I discovered even my own brother had already started personalizing that portion of land that would have belonged to us, especially after my quote legal father now died. I started hearing like something like my father, my farm, as if it should have been our farm, our farmland. But my brother had started personalizing it, and even to the point that there was a time that my wife asked, your brother will be talking of my father, my land. Is it not supposed to be our land? Do you not have a portion in it? She just asked rhetorically sometimes. But eventually, I still provided an answer. Said, just look on. And we were like that. Eventually, I went back to my biological father's home. To God be the glory. In fact, it's a saving grace for me. God really blessed me with that decision. If not, my brother and I would have been at loggerheads, at loggerheads, we call it, at loggerhead over the few parcels of land, because already he had made it clear that it belonged to him, and what would have been my portion at the end of the day if God did not made me to take that decision that separated us. So everybody now bears his father's house and name. So then what is my inheritance in the other place, in my father's home? It is simple. It would have been something like parcel of land too, that will be for me and my siblings over there. But one thing that I'm happy with, both here, the old and the new home that I had no need to be struggling for, in fact, to eye family property. I had no need, including house. I had no need because as the Lord God Almighty lives, I had created my own wealth. My own brother has created his own wealth. My own sisters, all of them, had created their own wealth. Even as I speak today, none of us is even going to the land. The only thing that could make the land relevant to us is maybe when development comes and people want to buy or something. But we are not even looking at that. That's how life should be. We are not looking at that. So there is no need for friction. There is no need for the episode that I had with my brother down there. Because you need to create your own wealth yourself. If anything eventually comes from any other angle, it's a plus. But when you make what is supposed to be a plus to be the substance, you are going to live a miserable life. So it's important for everybody to start making themselves whatever they want themselves to be in life. Let me tell you, religion is not supposed to be a confusion to us, but our leadership in religion has actually made it a mystery, and they have used it to compound and to confound us to the point that we get lost to the point that we lose our sense of reality. Religion, or being a Christian, being a Muslim, being a Sheshe person, does not mean that you should not pursue a career in life that will help you to get to where you are going to. If you think it is your prayers alone, or it is your struggles alone, or it is because you trust in God alone that you get to somewhere, that you trust in God alone can help you. In fact, it's the basis. But you must still do something that God will bless. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1 to 14. The blessings will follow you. If you don't do something in that direction, then you're going to be miserable in life, no matter how faithful you are. So that is a point that everybody has to understand, especially those of us who say we are Christians. Now, as I said, we can make our lives what God wants it to be. Remember, the topic of this message is weep not for Nigeria. I'm coming to that. I'm taking it from your own personal life, taking it from my own, using mine as an example for you to be able to review your own. If there's anything you should understand now, is that you must have a vision of who you want to be, and you must be working towards that, letting God back you up. Number one, you must know God who will guide you. Number two, you must have a vision that you are pursuing to take you to anywhere. Now, anywhere you desire. Now, going to the topic, weep not for Nigeria. God created this nation and gave us everything that we needed to become somebody of substance in life, if we are ready to tap into them, if we are ready to be at the right place at the right time and chance will favor us. So, once we do that, we have nothing to lose in this world. But now, come to think of it, we have to define the statement that we usually make. Nigeria is bad. Nigeria is this. Nigeria is that. Nigeria is wicked. Nigeria is... Then in the positive side, Nigeria is good. Nigeria is rich. Nigeria is everything that God can make a nation to be. It's a land of Canaan. Now, if you look at Nigeria, from the positive side of it, everything is here for us to use, to hold, to administer. All the mineral resources in this world. And no matter how much we try, we cannot exhaust the crude oil. We cannot exhaust the vast resources that are filled in the oceans, that are kept underground, that even the airspace, the land space, that the surface of the land itself offers us. We cannot. So, that is why I said, you cannot weep for Nigeria. We cannot weep for Nigeria. Because if you look at it today, all those resources are there. But we are into abject poverty. But does that make Nigeria a land of poverty? No. It is our leaders that made us poor. Now, only yesterday, or 2 days ago, Babangida launched his memoir, that is autobiography. Thank God he released all the information he released. And the bottom line is that he was bedeviled with wickedness by annulling the June 12 election that Abiola, now that he admitted, previously said Abiola may not have won the election, but today he has admitted that Abiola actually won the election, and the figures are there for us to see. But now, instead of Abiola spending the first 4 years in the presidency, he spent it in prison. The second 4 years, he never witnessed. He died. He lost his life. So weep not for Nigeria, because Nigeria remains a blessed land, but weep for the wicked leadership that we have in Babangida. And of course, its antecedents. They were so close. He betrayed. He did everything. Now, but again, anytime I talk of Babangida, for every Pharaoh, there is a Moses. For every Pharaoh, there is a Moses. And there's what we call the laws of karma. These things came to play here. For those of you who are listening to this message and who will listen and who will learn from it, if you at all want to learn from it, if at all, whatever you wish others will come unto you. Whatever a man sows, he will reap. We are all mourning Abiola. We are all saying that there is greatest injustice, even by his intimate, if there is any language like intimatest, the closest somebody. Who is closer to Abiola than Babangida? Who made Abiola rich, apart from the government of Nigeria? But Abiola himself truncated late Chief Awolowo's destiny of becoming the president of Nigeria. It is true, nobody gets anything except it's been given from above. But God can ordain you to become somebody, and somebody somewhere can devilishly truncate it for you. In this area, political opposition truncated it for Abiola. And today, Abiola became the opposite of what he should be. Abiola truncated late Chief Awolowo. It was painful to this nation. And who is the victim? Nigeria, that is not developing now. That has been static since since that mandate was stolen and fraudulently given to Shagari, just to make sure that Awolowo did not get there. And to quote the word of late Odumegu Ojukwu, Baba Awolowo became the best president Nigeria never had. He missed the opportunity. Abiola now wanted to come in. He missed the opportunity. The opportunists too. Obasanjo then took advantage. And in between, Baba Shoneko became the president that they never dreamt of, albeit for 3 months. So let's see how the interplay is. The greatest lesson to learn from this is that whatever you do to somebody, more of it is coming back to you. That's why I'm saying weep not for Nigeria. Weep for yourself. Weep for our leadership. You are a head of the family. You know what you are doing in your family. You are a father in the house. You are a mother in the house. All of us are leaders. You know what you are doing among your children. I'm not talking of children that you can never correct, you can never bring closer. I'm not talking of prodigal children, either prodigal son or prodigal daughter. Those ones are there. Christ himself says that I have completed what I want to do. Nobody got lost except children of perdition. May we not have them. There are some like that, like Judas, even amongst families. But when we talk of the natural leadership, parents and children ought to give room for their parents to guide them. Just as parents ought to give room to God to guide them too. The Bible says to us, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23, wives, submit to your husband. Give room to your husband to have the control of the home, including yourself. Then, husbands, love your wives to the point that you can give your life for her as Christ gave his life to Christ, to the church. We ought, if we don't follow these things, we are finished. And that is what is destroying us today. Nigeria can never go bankrupt. Let one person carry everything. What are the ones that Emefiele carried now? Look at that one, does not even last for long. That the law of karma came back. He wished that Tinubu did not get there. But he himself did not get there. Not only did he not get there, he's languishing in jail now. We are not mocking him. If this man, how many CBN governor of the past has experienced what he's experiencing now? Well, he's now using the Bible as an inspirational material. May God forgive him. I don't know. I'm not God. But he's reaping what he has sowed. All of us. Many of us today are not making progress in life because we are reaping the evils that we have sown. That is the truth. I'm saying this so that you can examine yourself. Have you cheated somebody? A young boy, you're impregnating girls around. You buy something, you want to steal. You underprice it to the point that you broke the bones of the seller. And you say, after all, what is it? That's the way the Bible puts it. God hates a false scale. For the seller, you have 3 cups, 3 different measures in order to maximize profit. What should cost 1 naira, you do it for 1 million. And then, one thing that the artisans in particular who work for me, what I always tell them, it is better you have little gains than for you to have big gain and lose your customer for life. But they don't like it. In fact, many of these people, they don't like me because I tell them the truth. But I said, if the money these people should have used for 2 things you make them to struggle to use it for 1 thing. And that thing itself, you did not even do it for them well. There is no way you can prosper in life. But how many of them will get this? Because law of karma will always work against you. You cannot cheat nature. What you sow, you will reap. A wife manipulating or maltreating her husband, dominating the husband, contrary to the will of God. Domination is not just by being bossy or whatever, but a wife that is taking control of the husband, the wife cannot say anything, the husband becomes a rubber stamp. Your children, who are males, will be subservient to their wives. It's not a curse. The law of karma will come in. Husbands who are maltreating their wives, the little misunderstanding, say you are going to marry another person. Of course, the law of karma will quickly come and address you because you will never find an angelic woman. And then your sorrow becomes like that drama of those days says, Bata Wahala. You've entered the shoes of trouble and that you will nurture till the end of your life. No matter how bad a monogamous home can be, you cannot compare it with the evils or dangers that are inherent in polygamous home. Because no matter how much you try to please, no matter how much love you show, still somebody somewhere will want to cause ripples in that family. So, some of these things. So, then in the church of God, are we not crying today under the yokes that the churches have placed upon us? Hebrews 7, verse 5 says, when you are collecting your tithes, you are collecting according to the law, and that the law has been removed. Then why are we quoting Malachi 3:8 to 10 to still gather that tithe? And why are we adding first fruit to it? Not only that, why are we cajoling? I was listening to one GO the other day, said, one of my children, he was young, he was giving me little, he said 1 naira or 1 cup, I can't remember, little money. Then later, he recognized him and so on and so forth. Later, one day he came to him and said he promised him a flying object. And one day he would buy him a flying object. And that after that one, the boy was still continuing. Then he became blessed. He gave him a movie object that is a big car. And when next he came, he said he came to report to him that he's gotten. He gave me a big car. He came to report to him that he's gotten an oil blocks, which probably would have influenced for him to get it anyway. That's no string. And he now said, okay, his private jet or flying object is here, will come. It's already certain that it will come. Is this not what we are preaching today? So that people will just come and be giving and giving and giving. And you say that they will be blessed. Is it because he's giving to you? Do you know how many other people he's giving to? All these sorts of stories that we use to manipulate or cajole people to just. Now they are creating the wealth, but they don't know who will spend it. Now people are crying under the yoke of oppression. And things are as hard as this, and still putting people under pressure. The law of karma in their lifetime is already coming. And they are being messed up around the world. Men of God, no true men of God will be messed up. But these ones that we have today, they are being messed up because of the messes they have done. Or is it the ones that are carrying their fake crutches in the name of healing, selling miracles, that are being exposed when they will say they do a miracle and the miracle, to test it in the hospital, they will say, no, it's not their miracle, it is the medical intervention. They are being disgraced. Now today they are crying. They will never rest. That's the truth. Now they've gathered together to say anybody who talks about the evils they are seeing, that they will, they will even unalive them. You can see how desperate it has become in the church of God. Cry not for, weep not for Nigeria, weep for all these leaders. When we continue to oppress ourselves, when we continue to do evil, and we want to, when a church of God or the leadership of the church of God begins to use carnal measures, take carnal measures, forgetting about his God. I was listening to a discussion the other day. The other said, no, I will not leave it to God again. I will do it myself. And you see, the best way to not to put yourself in trouble is follow what God says. You are not supposed to take tithes. You are not supposed to oppress people. But you are oppressing. And the people are reacting. You will not know peace. The best way when people say, if my people who are called by my name and turn their ways and come back to me, I will take them. Go back to your God. Lawsuits, arrests, police arrests, harassments, on unaliving people will never stop what. And of course, you will not even stop saying what is wrong that people know are wrong now. And people will not stop responding to you. So threats, when you begin to threaten, take note, there's something that has gone wrong. Law of karma is already catching up. Lie may travel for 2,000 of 1 million years. Only one day the truth will catch up. The truth has come in the ministry. And people will now always talk. All I know now is that life will never remain the same again for those who are out to continue to religiously oppress the people. So, when you look at all these things, you don't need to weep for Nigeria. Nigeria remains a blessed country. If all of us destroy everything that we have built in this world, the wealths are still there for the generations to come. The wealths are still there. Okay, today now, because of the misdeeds of our people, they say don't come to a country legally. We say we are smart. We went there. See the law of karma now. A Pharaoh will arise that will not know not Joseph. Trump has come, who will not listen to anything other than the voice of the law. And is applying it now. Applying the big stick. We are crying. Why don't we do things in the normal way in life, so that our lives can be smooth? So long as we don't do it, the law of karma will come. Deuteronomy 30:19, the choice you make, your children's children will profit, either in quote or unquote, from it up to the 4th generation. What our leaders have chosen, our parents have chosen, that is what we are reaping now, up to this generation. What they did 4 generations ago, or even more, from every 4th generation. So we are still. And are we going to change? We have seen Babangida. And lastly, we have the whole Oba. Who is a whole now? When Oba was Oba, that's a whole. I would say a whole Oba, who is into fraudulent practices. If you want to get the detail, go to Auntie Adonai's page. You will get them there. The Oba of Ipetimudu was allegedly involved in fraudulent practices. He did it in the secret, but he's in the open. Now he's in jail, allegedly. Tobi Adegboyega is still hiding under the cloak of the law, but it's obvious that what he's doing is morally questionable, but he's still hiding under the cloak of the law. And no matter how smart you are, the law will catch up with you one day. For how long shall we continue to do this? Brethren, you don't need to weep for Nigeria at all. Nigeria has all it takes. God loves Nigeria to the point that, it lasts nothing. So you don't need to weep for Nigeria. Weep for yourself. You are given a small office, you convert it to yours. A banker, the MD of a banker recently, previously, established his own company and was converting the money of the bank he headed to pay the salaries of his workers. When is he going to be independent? Will he not leave the organization? If everybody will not learn, let it not be you. Remember Wigwe. he gathered the wealth, unfortunately. Today, anybody can die anyhow. Nobody prays for the kind of tragic death that he died. But remember that at the end of every day, we shall account for everything we did. He has no opportunity now of reviewing his life. He has finished. We may not die by accident. We may die by old age. But death is death. We will all go. But what will people remember us for? What will God Almighty say about us? Brethren, when I am saying to God be the glory, I've succeeded, I'm not talking in terms of saying, okay, I've amassed this whole world. I've succeeded in the sense that, thank God, I'm able to feed. And God will make that happen till my dying day. I don't have fleet of cars. I don't have many houses. But it is still not the way I was born that I am. I'm better than the generations before me. To God be the glory. I'm able to show my children. Say, train your child the way it should go, so that when it grows up, it will not depart from it. I'm able to train my children the way of righteousness, the way of honesty. I always let them know that, look, what is happening now to Emefiele, to Babangida, to everything, even during the very lifetime of Babangida, this is what Yoruba will call èèyàn kà, àjẹ́ tó ń kà. That is, this Yoruba will say, a witch is confessing. Babangida is confessing. He's not dead, but he's not alive either. So every one of us who have done one thing or the other, we better go back and begin to ask for mercy from God. Babangida is not enjoying his end. And the way it is now, the summary of his speech is that, remember me for doing evil. What will be your story? What will you be remembered for? Delegiwa's blood is haunting them now. The windfall from where is the from crude, from oil, the lives that were lost in the plane crash, whether it's connected or not, they are all crying out. The blood of Abel, of their Abel, is crying from the graveyard. Whatever you sow, you will reap. I sowed accepting the Lord as my Lord and personal Savior, Yehoshua, as the Lord of my person. Today I'm profiting from it. I walk step by step for God to guide me. He guided me today. I can testify. Finally, brethren, look, as I said, I give glory to God. I worked in local and international organizations, but I'm always saying it. I earned well. But if wealth was to be created honestly, nobody at my level, except one way or the other. You see, this exception is the issue. When you add something inside that is beyond your income, to the point that when they ask you to explain, it becomes an issue. That's what I avoided. That is why I don't own so many cars today. That is why, I always learn from people like Jack Andy. Jack Andy was wealthy as he is. He's not, when I say wealthy, he didn't take wealth as something of substance. Before he died, close to 100 years of age, I watched him eating one day. He was giving this local plastics cup to drink water. He chose a life of humility. When he was governor, his house at Ilupeju, the wall cracked. He had access to money. He got contented with what he had. He chose a life of simplicity. It is a life of sophistication that leads us to the love of money, and from there greed takes over and we forget God. If only we could get away from all this. Today, I am not owning the world, but I'm at peace with my God. I'm at peace with myself. In the home front, I'm at peace. I'm not looking back as to whether somebody is pursuing me. I handled money, but it never occurred to me to steal it one day. Instead, I would rather borrow. I would rather borrow. Let me tell you, I borrowed to school. I borrowed to marry. I borrowed to train my children. I borrowed to build houses. I borrowed to buy even ordinary solar lamp in my house. But I'm at peace. I paid the money. If I owe somebody, I must pay. As I speak with you today, there's somebody I introduced to a business. The business failed. I'm still refunding his capital, no matter how little I had. I rather will pay over time than to keep quiet and say, "Shebi the business failed." Not that he pressed me for it, but out of the fear of God in me is what I'm doing. I'm not an angel. But I'm conscious of living a righteous life. I'm conscious of not hurting other people. Likewise, I've had people that, I did business for, and the business failed. When I said, "Let me refund your money," they said no, that I needed not to refund it, but that the business itself, that I was the one that brought the idea. Part of it failed, part of it has succeeded. They thought deeply and said, if one can succeed, I will take it. Why are we going to punish you for the one that didn't succeed? This is life, but my own stand is, let me not do evil. Business can fail. How many of the shares that I purchased are alive today? But compared to the capital given to me to do business for somebody, compare that with the share that we bought in an organization. Those shares, the companies went down just as this business failed. Did I get my refund? But because of the fear of God in me, I said, look, I must refund the capital that somebody entrusted to me to work. Closing my eyes to the successes that is recorded with the second aspect of the business. This is the way I think. It's not to portray myself as an age, it's to make you conscious that if we are all thinking this way, we're not looking at smarting it out with somebody. One, we will live a stable life, a peaceful life, a joyful life. We don't be looking back as to whether I've offended somebody or somebody have offended me. No. I beg you, my brother, live a righteous life. And you cannot live it. The backbone of all these my decisions is because I'm afraid or I fear God. Papa Ola or late Papa Ola was owing, and his properties were confiscated. The Oba of his town bought his uncompleted building, but by the time he came back alive financially, he went back to pay that money back and collected his property. He was owing somebody. He went ahead years after and started paying until he finished paying. That's the principle that I learned from. Abawola died well. I know by the special grace of God, I will leave this world better. I will die well. I will finish well. I covet something as good for that. It's not all about the money I acquire. That is why I'm saying it. Life is not a do or die. What God has not given to you, if you want to venture into it, you will suffer. I pray you will not end badly. I will not end badly. Let us begin to think. Weep not for Nigeria. Let us weep for ourselves. Let us weep for our leaders. Religious, judiciary, remember Daily Pharaoh to me. Everywhere is mercy. We should weep for ourselves. Let us have mercy upon one another. God bless you. Please share this message extensively wide. Share this message. Subscribe. Don't let us be passive, or don't let us be somebody who is just enjoying messages. Help to cascade the messages to others so that others will profit from them. Patronize our channel always. And let the Church of God not be a church where they will say, the more the religion is growing, the more evil we have. It's a bad report. Let us remember, all these are private jet will not take it to heaven. Let us remember, unaliving people, taking the laws into our hands. And because of the wealth we are expected to create, and it seems that things are shaky. All businesses are shaky. One government policy will ridicule all businesses. Since we have turned the Church of God to commercial business, we are prone to whatever is happening everywhere. So the wind has blown. The people who are deceiving, they are getting wiser. Instead, let us go back to the drawing board and follow a career path and then do what is legitimate. You can still make it without frustrating or enslaving the people. Have mercy, you will receive mercy. If all of us, this generation, decide to remain wicked, it does not alter what Nigeria is. Nigeria is a blessed land. So like our videos, pass your comments. God bless you. Bye. Once again, I'm your friend, Pastor Yemi Omogwega. I can never cease being a pastor. From being a pastor, no. You see, pastors are there, fake pastors are there. I choose to be a true pastor. But when I see what is happening sometimes, I wonder, I say, why am I calling myself a pastor? I identify myself with God. Let those who are doing evil do it. Is it not a pastor that connived with the Oba of Ipetumodu now, allegedly, that they did what they are doing? Now, Nemesis has caught up with them. We're not mocking them. What you do is what people will say. God bless you. Bye for now.